The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, your host, along with Otto Lohse, our co-host. Good morning, Otto. How are you?
I'm good, Rebecca. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here as usual. Also, of course, is Christina Liu, who is Project Independence and You's radio show producer, and we're in our 12th year. It seems like we're right. Are we in our 12th year or 11th year?
Yeah, we celebrated our 12th anniversary, right? We're in our 12th year. We celebrated our 11th anniversary.
Right. So we're going toward our dozen, right? Wow, it's unbelievable. And every year, Christina pulls these Project Independence and You radio shows together every week, with very few exceptions. Occasionally we have, if it's a holiday or something just conflicts. But other than that, it's probably, I think you probably produced about 40 to 45 radio shows a year.
I'd say so, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That, right?
Certainly.
Right. It's a lot. And
I know, my brain shorted out.
Of course, bringing our great guests, and that doesn't fall short on the show today. So today we have Karen Blackburn, who is a public affairs specialist with AAA Northeast, and Karen is a true friend to Project Independence and You, and you're on the show frequently, and you also are a presenter at a lot of our advisory meetings, and I know you work very closely with Shari Baton, who is our mobility manager, and she is also Carfit certified. So we're going to get all into that, but I want to thank you for joining us today, Karen.
Thanks for having me. All right.
It's great. So today's topic is helping mature drivers find their safest fit. And I'm sure other things will come up together. So could you tell us a little bit about the background of Carfit and kind of how it came to be?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share my PowerPoint screen that talks a little bit about our program and where it came from. And the easiest thing to do that is to, here we go. Let me get the slideshow. Here we go from the beginning. I had that right in here, introducing Carfit, what it is and why, it says why you need it. I think it's everybody needs it.
Right.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means by everybody. The program is geared for senior drivers, and I'm going to start with a video that comes from our Carfit program. It's a national program. We do it throughout the country. It's AAA, AARP, and AOTA, which is the American Occupational Therapy Association. So I'm just going to hit this, and hopefully everything is working correctly with the sound. We can hear the sound. Yes.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Shaw with AAA, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about Carfit. So what exactly is Carfit? Carfit was developed by the American Society on Aging in collaboration with AAA, AARP, and the American Occupational Therapy Association. It's a community-based program that provides a quick yet comprehensive check of how well you and your vehicle work together. Much like a tailor alters your clothes for a better fit, Carfit recommends minor alterations to your car that can give you a better and safer fit with your vehicle. It's simple and begins with a trained professional asking basic questions that are part of the 12-point Carfit checklist. The process takes about 20 minutes, and you'll leave with recommended car adjustments and adaptations, a list of local resources in your area that can assist you further, and a greater peace of mind. So now you may be thinking, well, why is Carfit right for me? Research suggests that older drivers are among the safest drivers. They are more likely to wear their seatbelt and less likely to speed or drink and drive. However, as people age, they're more likely to suffer serious injuries or risk death in a crash because of greater fragility and aging bodies. With age comes physical changes such as arthritis and decreased vision. These changes can make safe driving especially challenging for seniors. That's why at AAA, we're committed to educating seniors on how they can adjust and interact with their vehicles in ways that optimize comfort and safety. Since the program's inception in 2005, AAA clubs across the nation have conducted the Carfit program in local communities to help keep senior drivers safe. One way to ensure the safety of older drivers is to ensure they are positioned properly inside their cars. And today, we'll take a look at each of the 12 points on the Carfit checklist to accomplish this goal. Are you ready to come take a look? Come join me.
So there's a few things that I love in there. First off, this is not a new program. It's been around since 2005, and we've been conducting events at Clinton Martin Park probably since 2006, 2007. And we have a wonderful relationship, again, with Project Independence and all the wonderful people that are there. The program is designed for senior drivers, but it's really for everybody. And the reason that I say this is many of the technicians that I train are college students. They're maybe not necessarily senior drivers, but we make them practice in their own cars first. And every one of them says, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could change this. And look how much better I can see out of my car. And let's face it, we want to stay driving as long as we can. But if you're sitting too low or you're sitting too close to your steering wheel, if your mirrors are not adjusted correctly, that can all affect your safe positioning in the car. So this program is really for everybody. And it helps you position yourself better in your own car. It's for safety and for comfort. Whoops.
I think it would be a good thing for young people, frankly, because I was like in my 70s when I finally learned how to set my mirrors. It would have been good to be driving all those years before that with the mirrors the right way.
Otto, that's a pretty frequent comment that seniors make, like, oh, do you do this for teenagers? We absolutely would. We frequently don't get calls from from high school kids or people learning to drive. But my advice always is, well, hey, if you have a grandchild or somebody in your family who's learning, let's share this information. It's always a great idea to share that.
Is it part of the driver's ed courses that kids take in high school? Maybe it should be.
It is not. So New York State does not have a specified curriculum for driver's ed. So it's whatever individual driving schools are teaching. There's not a set curriculum. There's information for what's required on their driving test and what things are they examined on, but setting the mirrors correctly, or where do you hold your hands on the steering wheel, all of those things are not set, or they're not mandated by the state.
That's a shame. It really is. I mean,
it really is, because when my older son took driver's ed, it was still part of the school. It was still free. When my younger son took it, it was $500. And, this should really be part of it for that amount of money. And that was, almost 10 years ago. So.
And it's still like that. Again, I speak with a lot of my occupational therapy technician trainees are college students. And I ask them, well, did you learn any of this in driver's ed? And 98% of them say no. But they're the first ones to say, ow. And I laugh when I train new technicians that you're going to hear that, oh my goodness. You're going to hear that from at least, 5 out of 10 or whatever. You're going to hear it a lot, that I just didn't realize that I could do this in my car.
If we're going to fix this whole thing, why not let's add on the AAA safety thing that you do for insurance?
So it actually is. It is in our program. We have that, and we promote the Carfit program within our program. But we have a whole module on getting ready to drive, and it talks about setting your mirrors. It talks about.
But does it talk about driving safely, like defensively?
That's the whole class. It's a defensive driving class.
And our class for teenagers?
It's the defensive driving program for people who already have their license.
Yeah, and I'm
So
saying I think it would be good if they put something, maybe a reduced version of that in driver's ed. So
so that's up with New York State. We can't control what New York State does. We
it's a
we certainly
shame.
have lobbied for it, and but that's an ongoing thing. We do have so I do speaking presentations. I have a colleague who also spends a lot of time in high schools in driver ed classes and health classes, and she has a couple of different workshops. And but it's whatever school calls her to say, hey, can you do this workshop?
It's too
So
bad
yeah.
because I think it should start young. Digression completely. My father used to drive a truck and he taught me how to drive. And he did his own safety class. Lots of things he told me. And because of it, I think I'm a safe driver. But that was when I was young. And I think it's sad that it's not started in the younger years.
Yep. And one of the other things you're going to see, Otto, is that when we learned for the general population that comes through our Carfit program, vehicles have changed greatly, and some trains of thought, and I'll get to that a little bit later when I start talking about our mirrors. Things have changed within the car, and there are safety features that are in the car. Some that people like, oh, I don't change my mirrors because I wait for the light to come on. Well, don't wait for the light to come on. We still need to be a defensive driver, but things that you can raise, that you can move. And that's what this whole program is about, making adjustments in your car so that you can see better, so that you can be a safer driver. If you can't see over your steering wheel or you're sitting too close, you can get hit by the airbag. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, and again, seatbelts can adjust. But for some of our seniors, when they learned to drive, seatbelts weren't even in the car.
Do you, right? I know I talk about that a lot when we were when I was a baby, there were no seatbelts in the car and
Right.
Moms wanted to have the kids next to them. So with the, technology advancements of rear view mirror, videos and sensitivity if you get too close. All these bells and whistles, I'm sure has kind of changed the way you have to teach Carfit too, because I know, and there are times when you're in a car that may not have all the bells and whistles, and it's kind of like you have to almost remember, you got to turn your head, you got to look behind you. The rear view cameras are incredible because they really do capture things that you can't see even if you do turn your head around. So like when you're backing out of a spot, it's got such a great view, but then there are cars that I think they're mandatory now in new cars.
They are mandatory for several years now. Because it's the Cameron I can never pronounce the last name, little boy who he was run over by his dad. So a number of safety organizations really pushed the legislator to make that a mandatory feature in all cars now, that you have to have a backup camera.
Is it mandatory that they all be the same? Like, I get confused, to be honest about it, with the lines. There's lines that come up on the screen.
So that's an interesting point, because when those cameras first came out, we had people who came into the Carfit events who would be like, they said exactly the same thing. I don't know what those lines mean. Can you help me? Now, the thing is, the only time that the camera is activated is when your car is in reverse. So what we would do is we would have people say, well, how do you know where, like, what do those lines mean? And the red X means like you don't want to go back any further, but it has graduated lines that give you an idea when you're getting close and when should you actually stop. So we actually helped some people with that, getting used to it. Sometimes people will come in with a car that, my husband did all the driving. My husband has passed away and now I have this car and I don't know how it works. Sometimes when you purchase a new car, I know the last car that I purchased was a 2019, and I know all about the things that you need to change in your car, but a young technician who was an IT guy sat in the front seat, and he very quickly said, okay, this is this. And I had to stop him a few times and say, just back up a little bit. And, I'm pretty savvy with knowing the things that need to be adjusted in the car, but he confused me a couple of times. And the same with my husband, who was sitting in the back seat. It can be really confusing. So again, if somebody's purchasing a new car, my first piece of advice is go back to the dealership, have the dealership show you that. But there really haven't been things in cars that we haven't been able to figure out. If we couldn't figure out by looking at it, we usually ask the person to please bring your owner's manual. And not in every car, we can't, sometimes people will come with an older model. We can't fix everything, but I almost always can make it better than what it was when they came in. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And this other thing one of the newer things that happens in cars, which was incredibly alarming for me. I was renting a car. I was in Florida with my stepmother, and we were at a red light, and the car shut down. That was years ago.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about that new kind of thing. The car pauses and then you start up again and the car starts up again. And most cars, I think there's a way to kind of bypass that. So what is it that's really happening there? Could people say, oh, it's to save gas? I go, I don't think the car companies are that much worried about us saving gas. I mean, I think it has more to do with emissions. I don't know. Do you know, can you explain why that exists in cars today?
Rebecca, my guess is as good as yours on that. I believe it's a combination of gas and emissions as well. My car does it. And like you, the first time it happened, like I'm used to it now, but my husband doesn't drive my car. He drives an older car that doesn't have that. And every time he gets in, he's like, I hate that feature.
I know.
I happen to like it. It doesn't bother me because I know to expect it. But I believe it's what you said. It's the emissions and it's saving gas.
The car rental thing is another story. I was in Florida about 4 weeks ago and rented a car, got in the car, got to the gate to check out, and the check engine light went on. So the guy said, okay, return the car, and you could return it and just pick whatever car you
know
wanted.
What? Otto, let's make this a suspenseful story because we actually have to take a quick break.
We're ready for a break. Oh my goodness. Okay.
So when we come back, Otto will complete his story. We'll know what happened to him on that very day. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lohse and Christina Liu, and we're speaking with Karen Blackburn, talking about Carfit and all other kinds of safety features, kind of things that to be aware of if you're not, because there's always something new. But before we get to the next new stuff that's happening with Carfit, I kind of ended up before the break on a cliffhanger as Otto was telling us a story, an experience that he had.
Okay, well, at the gate, check engine light, the guy at the gate says, okay, go back to the President's Circle and pick out a car you want to take. All right. So I go back. Now we schlep and we take all the bags out of the first car, put it in the second car, and get in the second car. It looked nice from the outside. Get in the second car, and the whole interior just looked like a mystery to me. It was not like typically what I'm used to dealing with. So I said, we're going to have this car for a week. I'm not comfortable with this interior. The buttons were in different places. And I said, I'm going to have a learning curve here on just figuring out how to use the inside of the car. So, okay, out of the car, schlepped the bags out, put them in another car. And that car finally worked. But a couple of points here. First of all, we lost a couple of items in the transferring. I left glasses in the car. My wife left the jacket in the car. And so that was the end of that. We figured that out when we were an hour and a half away from the airport. So we said, forget that. But where I'm going with this is that when you rent a car, you're now in another whole learning curve, and there is no auto fit kind of thing going on. You're doing your own fit, and it's another area that has to be paid attention to.
So Otto, everything that I'm gonna show you are things that if somebody couldn't come to a Carfit event, this is just a taste of what we're doing, but gives you some idea. So my recommendation is when you get into the airport and you get into that rental car, we're so quick to want to get out and get on our way and drive that you start the car up and you realize, oh, I didn't set the mirrors. I didn't do this. These are all things that you should do. Again, you're getting into a rental car. If a mechanic takes your car, if a valet takes your car, one of the first questions we ask our participants is, are you the only driver? Which makes some things easy, but we always say, but a mechanic, a valet, all of these other people might take your car and make some changes to it. So we make sure they know how to make the changes without a technician there. We make them do it. So I'll show them and we'll put it back, and then we'll have them do it and put it. They don't have to take our advice. It's just an educational program. There's no pass fail message, but it's education that will help them, again, see better and ride safer.
And Karen, a lot of cars today you can preset.
Yes.
You have 2 or even 3 settings if you have more than one driver. Because,
right.
And you can set your best seat, which I do. I'm usually the only driver of my car, but occasionally one of my sons will take it. And, one son is 6'1",
right.
Very different that I get in the car and I can't even, I'm like almost in the back seat when, after he gets in. And all I have to do is press my original setup and everything gets you back. And it's really a great thing because it's hard to kind of remember exactly where everything was. So that's another nice feature.
Yeah. Yep.
So
let's take a look. The very first thing that we check, we look when people are coming in if they're wearing their seatbelt, because usually the first thing they do is when they stop their car at our check-in station is they take the seatbelt off. I want to see that the seatbelt is on, and we want to make sure that the seatbelt is sitting flat on your shoulder, that it's low on your lap across your hips, and that we're not ever riding with it tucked under your arm or behind your back, because then the seatbelt's not going to do what it's supposed to do. Your seatbelt's supposed to save your life. Sometimes people who are petite in stature, and I'll put myself in that category. I'm 5'1". I know you can't tell from how tall I'm sitting in my chair, but the seatbelt needs to sit flat. And if you're too short, the seatbelt is going to be on your neck. It may be on your face. If it's uncomfortable, you're not going to wear it properly. And in a crash, if you think about what does the seatbelt do, it pulls you back in. And if it's not on your shoulder, if it's on your neck, it can do some damage. But more importantly, if it's not on your lap, right, low on your lap, if it's riding on your belly, that causes more damage than even, at the neck. That's why children need to sit in car seats and booster seats until they're at least 4'9". In the back seat, you can't adjust the seatbelts, but in the front seat, you can adjust the seatbelt, and that's the first thing we're going to check. We're going to ask them if they do that, and we're going to look and see, can you slide it down on the post? Can you sit higher? And that's where our next step comes in. We're going to look at the seat, and there's lots of things to look at with the seat.
Could I just ask you a quick question about seatbelts? All right.
Yeah.
One of the areas I find is a lot of times I wind up with a mature passenger, either in the back seat or the front seat. And it's always difficult because the person a lot of times is not able to find the seatbelt and put it in the thing themselves. So now you're rolling over and you're trying to get the seatbelt on this person. Is there anything like in the back seat? You're pretty well stuck. It is what it is, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Can you adjust the back seat?
No, the back seat does not have. So in the front seat, on both posts, it has a slide that, and again, newer cars have it. There are some vehicles that don't have it. And if they don't have it, they don't have it. So in the back seat, you can't adjust the height on that. You can adjust, and I have some other slides on other ways that you can raise yourself up without sitting in like a child's car seat. if you're having trouble buckling the buckle in, there are devices that you can get that fit over the buckle so that sometimes the buckle stalk gets pushed into the bite of the seat or into the wedge of the seat, and it makes it hard to buckle it in. So they do sell adaptive devices that can keep that out of the seat that would make it easier to buckle.
That's a good one.
Does that answer your question? All right. So now the next thing that we're going to look at when you're driving, where your seat is, in a number of different things. We want to try to sit between 8 to 10 inches away from the steering wheel. And again, I'm going back to those petite people who are like, no, I really need to be so close so I can reach the pedals. And I guarantee you can probably sit further away. The airbag comes out of that steering wheel, and the hit of the airbag is very powerful, and it can hurt you if you are too close to it. All right. If you can't reach the pedals, you know what? I'm going to tell you that you probably can. Our legs should be extended out, just like you see in the picture here. The driver's legs are fairly extended. This way your legs don't get cramped or tired as well, especially if you're driving a longer distance. If you extend your wrists out, they should just fit. And I have a little steering wheel here. When you extend your, very official looking, right? Your wrist should sit right at the top of the steering wheel with your arm outstretched. If you're sitting like this, you're too close. All right. You need to stretch it out. You need to move the seat back. And the other thing that will help with that is if you raise the seat up a little bit, and we'll see another diagram, so that you're not lazing back in the seat. We want to sit up tall. All right. It's not a lazy boy. It's your vehicle seat. I want you to sit up as tall as you comfortably can, not upright, like, that's not comfortable. I want you to be comfortable, but you can see in the diagram, the seat is reclined back just a little bit, but I've seen people come in who really look like they are ready for a nap in their car. We don't want to do that. All right. The next two slides are going to also show a little bit on our clearance over the steering wheel. You can see that I have two pictures here. The gentleman on the top is at a much better fit. I want you to have 3 inches of visual clearance over the steering wheel. So what does that mean? I want to be able to see, if I was standing in front of your car and I squatted down and got eye to eye level, I should be able to see your chin over the steering wheel. Sometimes I go and I see this. You know what? If I see this, I know you can't see over the wheel. So, and if you look at the picture down on the bottom, the woman who's driving there, she's super close. Look how bent her arms are. She's so close to that steering wheel. If her airbag deployed, she's definitely going to get hurt by the airbag, but she also doesn't have enough visual clearance. So suppose your seat has been raised up, right? Here's some fixes that we can do. The first, your vehicle probably has a button right on the side, right down here, that you can raise it up and down. And believe it or not, there's lots of people who don't realize they could do that. All right. And again, most of us know how to move the seat back and forth, but we don't know how to make it go up and down. Some seats have a lumbar support, which feels great if your back is bothering you. That's usually on that same panel right there. All right. Not every vehicle has it, but many do. All new vehicles have it at this point. We want to make sure that we're raising your bottom up, but not your knees. Okay. So on my car, we have 2 cars in our household. One of them, it raises the entire seat up. And the other one, I can raise the bottom and lower the knees. I want to still have some clearance under the steering wheel. Let me go back to that. I want to be able to have some clearance under the steering wheel so that I have room to maneuver the steering wheel.
Karen, before we go on further, I just want to say, for those that are listening live to the show and don't see the pictures that Karen has up, you can also watch the show. It'll be archived. It'll be on North Hempstead Television. It'll be on other social media access. And in addition, you can book a Carfit appointment with the town and have this done, which we really recommend. It's even with the visual aids that Karen is showing us and her incredible description. It's very different when you're in that seat and your particular height and size and arm reach and flexibility with your neck. So everybody, it's a very individualized process. And if any, I'm just going to give the phone number now and then we'll continue. Karen. So if you're listening and you're interested in a Carfit appointment, we will repeat these numbers later on in the show. You can call 516-873-2409. So it's 516-873-2409. Karen, I know that you did mention to us that there are plenty of appointments available, and there's no charge. And it's really just, I mean, it's quick and it's kind of fun. I mean, you focus on yourself and you always learn something new. So we'll go back to the show now. I just wanted those that are listening to know that, Karen's giving excellent details, but the pictures do have a little bit more. But so hang in there, listen to the show, then you'll, give Karen a call to make an appointment. And you can also, again, watch this on any of the social media channels or North Hempstead Television in the future.
Thanks for that plug. I appreciate that. That phone number is my phone number.
Okay.
If I don't answer the phone, it may be out in the field. Please leave me a message and tell me which event, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Which event, if you give me a ballpark, what time that you're looking for, that will help me out. And I promise that I will call you back when I am back at my phone. So the next thing that we're looking at, again, the seat and the steering wheel all work together. And sometimes we'll go back and forth. We can, in most cars, tilt your steering wheel down. If you still can't see over the steering wheel, we're going to tilt it down so you can still see all your controls, but we're going to show you how to do that. There's a little lever, and it's probably right under the steering column that you can do it, and we're going to have you do it. I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to be at all these events. I'll show you how to do it. Your technician will show you how to do it, but we want to make sure that you can do it. So if you let somebody else drive your car and you need to change it or for whatever, I want you to be able to do it. So the mechanism, again, is down on the steering column. We're going to lower it. I want you to have 2 or 3 fingers width from that you can slide under the bottom of the steering wheel so that you're not hitting your legs. All right. The lower the tilt, the better the position with the airbag. If the airbag deploys and your steering wheel is tilted up, it's going to hit you in the chin. It's going to push your head back. And again, that can be dangerous. If the steering wheel is tilted more aimed at your chest, there's a lesser chance for whiplash or injuries to your head and neck. So lowering the steering wheel is definitely good for pretty much everybody. If you still don't have enough clearance, we're going to provide, or we're going to give you the opportunity to try out a seat wedge. This is like the best thing on the planet. A seat wedge will raise you up. I mentioned before that I am petite in stature. All right, I tried this out, and this is my seat wedge. I have one. It'll give you an extra, I'm going to say 2 or 3 inches, 2 inches maybe, of clearance. If you're watching the program live, I want you to look right now where my head is on the screen. All right, and you can see there's about an inch of space right up here. I'm going to sit on this wedge. Didn't move my chair. I'm sitting on the wedge. And now I'm sitting in exactly the same position, but look how much higher I am. It's given me that much more clearance. It is tapered at the bottom and wedged at the back. It's tapered at the knee so that it's not going to raise your knees up. That's not going to interfere with the steering wheel. They sell plenty of these kind of things that are listed as a seat, great for driving. But if it's not wedged, I don't want you to get it. This one cost me $20. They used to sell them at Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond no longer sells them. And I think Bed Bath & Beyond is out of commission, I think. But you can get them on Amazon. There's lots of places that you can get them. And they are very comfortable. That little cutout in the back is there. Again, it's to keep your spinal cord relaxed, to keep everything. It's very ergonomically correct, and it's meant specifically for driving.
And please, I mean, I know one of the first Carfits we had someone show up who was very short, even shorter than you, Karen, and not that you're that short. I mean nothing.
No, but there's plenty of people who come in smaller than me.
Sitting on phone books. So please, I mean, can you talk a little bit about, I want to say the dangers, but don't sit on anything that's not good, secure.
Right. This is made of a fabric that's it's like a non-skid fabric that will sit on your vehicle seat. It's very safe, but don't, Jimmy rig something. Don't, like this seems to work good. You know what? And again, if you have a question, you can call me and I'll let you know. Here's some products that might, and again, we're not here to sell any products. We will give anybody if we feel that you need this product, we're going to give you a sheet that has it. Sometimes we want to buy things just because, wow, that's really cool. If you don't need it, I don't want you to have it. This one for smaller people, if we can't already raise your seat up and tilt your steering wheel down, that you still can't get that extra clearance.
You know what, Karen? We actually have to take a quick break. So when we come back from break, if you could get back to those products, that would be great. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back with our guest, Karen Blackburn.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lohse, Christina Liu, and Dan Cox. Our guest today is Karen Blackburn, and we're speaking to her about helping mature drivers find their safest fit, but also any driver. And what we were talking about in the very beginning, why not start at an early age, so when we do get a little bit older, we're already sitting right and we're, finding that safe car fit. So I know right before the break, Karen, you were about to give us some information on the seat wedges.
So the seat wedge, again, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Home Depot. If you are the driver, I want you to have that tapered knee. Otto had asked me during the break, what about your passenger? For your passenger, it doesn't matter if it's tapered or not because they're not sitting behind the steering wheel. But what I would recommend is get something that is designed for the car, that will not slide on the seat, that is comfortable. They make some great memory foam ones. But again, what it will do is it will raise your passenger up. And again, if they're the passenger in the passenger seat in the front, let's look at maybe, again, moving the seatbelt down. So the seatbelt for them, same as you, sitting flat on your shoulder, and the lap belt is low on your lap and not on your belly. So the passenger is not as important. I do want your passenger to be sitting as far back as the seat will go, but depending on what you have in the back seat or who's sitting in the back seat. The further that they're away from the airbag will reach them no matter where they are. But if you were in the car and you were leaning forward to change the radio station and the airbag went off, you're going to get hurt by your airbag. So if you can, or if you have children in the car, and sometimes children will ask me, well, when can I sit in the front? Well, if there's no room in the back because the back is full, let's put the oldest person who can withstand the hit of the airbag, but move the seat as far back as it'll go so the impact will not be as great. The airbag will still do what it's supposed to do, but it's not going to hit you smack right in the face.
Okay, it's good now. Good stuff.
All right. I'm going to move on. These I'm going to go through super quick because I don't want to run out of time. I want to make sure I give you some extra information for the end. We do need to adjust your head restraint. It's called a head restraint, not a headrest. It should sit on the back of your head, should touch it when you're sitting there driving or if you're in the passenger seat, and it should sit right in the back The center of your head should be right in the back of that head restraint. We'll show you how to adjust it.
Karen, I just want to address that because it is very important. I know that was the first thing I learned when I did my Carfit. It's not a headrest. This is not for you to rest your head. But I found it personally hard to kind of, I want to say, get comfortable. I mean, I know we're not supposed to get cushy comfortable, but you know, when the head restraint, I mean, I still am calling it a headrest. When the head restraint does come forward, it is a little uncomfortable. When do you know? Is there like right before it's uncomfortable, or you just grin and bear it?
It should just barely touch. So what happens is in a crash, if the crash is enough that the airbag deploys, the airbag and the head restraint work together to sandwich your head in so that it doesn't go either way, forward or back.
Gotcha.
To prevent whiplash. So if you have that head restraint and it's way back and there's a huge gap, the airbag is going to come and it is going to push your head back. Even if it's aimed at your chest, your head's still going to go back. So if your head is already there and restrained by the head restraint, your head's not going to go back and the airbag will prevent your head from going forward. So, you know what, if you have a teeny little gap, I'm going to say that's probably okay, but I don't want a huge gap. And we want it to the point where it's just skimming the back of your head. And in most cases you can adjust that.
Now, one other question. I just want to go back back to seatbelts. And I know Otto has another comment. You know, the seatbelt. So I have driven friends' cars and they have these cushy things that they put on the seatbelt because the seatbelt it's like soft, cushy things. I mean, some of them are kind of, taut and, really kind of cover. Others are like these big furry things.
They're okay.
Okay.
If it means you're going to wear your seatbelt, there's no safety implication on that. There's nothing. And I actually have one in my toolkit. Those are okay. I give my permission.
All right. I know, Otto, you had a comment?
Yeah, the adjustment of the head restraint. I noticed, like we described for a picture for the people who are on the radio kind of thing, that it looked like you can pick that up and turn it around so that it faces different ways.
Yes, we actually often do that when we put in child's car seats in the back, because if they're tilting forward, it prevents your child's car seat from sitting flush with the seat. So we frequently will take them and turn them around in the back seat. You often can do that. Some cars have a molded head restraint and you can't do anything. It's molded into your car. There's no posts. Remember I said some things we won't be able to change or modify. We're going to change and modify the things that we can. And again, we'll take a look and see what's the best way, what's going to work in your car. That's why this is so great, because it's so individualized for your car and for you as the driver. All right. I mentioned before that we want our legs not to be cramped. We should be able to move our foot from one pedal to the other. We might need to, again, readjust. Sometimes we go back and forth a little bit. All right. And again, we want to be 8 to 10 inches away from the steering wheel, 3 inches of visual clearance over the steering wheel. We want the wheel tilted down and we want to be sitting upright, and we're going to adjust the head restraint. The big aha moment that we have with many of our drivers is adjusting the mirrors. Most of us have our rear view mirror. We know how to do that because you should be able to see the entire back frame of the mirror, of the window behind you. If you have junk back there, if you have stuffed animals, whatever, we're going to recommend that you get rid of that. I want you to be able to see out of that back window. All right. But the side mirrors, this is something that is 100% different from what we learned when we learned to drive, when they said, I want you to see the back end of your vehicle when you're sitting in the driver's seat. And I don't want you to see that. I don't want you to see that. You should not be able to see your car from your regular driving position. All right. Otherwise, you're doing double duty. You have your rear view mirror. That's seeing the back of the car. If your mirror is pointed to your car, you're not seeing the cars that are in the lanes on either side. You're not going to see them. And that's where we have so many of our crashes, when we're getting ready to merge from one lane to another, or you're merging onto a highway. or, just changing lanes. Whoops. So what we want to try to do is the easiest thing that you can do on your own is lean your head all the way, rest it on the side window, move the mirror out. So now you can just see the edge of your car. And now when you sit back in your driver's position, you're not going to see your car, but you 100% will see the car in the next lane. This is the big aha moment that we have with so many drivers who said, oh, or some people feel really uncomfortable with it. Well, this is the way I've been driving forever. So when we learn to drive in a parking lot, and then we graduated to the road. So my advice always is move it out a little bit. In a week from now, after you're driving around for a little bit, move it out a little bit more. Move it out a little bit more. When we do it at the Carfit event, we're going to do it with a technician mimicking that car in the next lane. So you can really see how much of a blind spot we're going to reduce. And in a lot of cases, we're removing 6 to 8 feet of blind space. And that's significant. That could be most of a car, most of a motorcycle, anybody else who might be coming up on your side. Now, your side mirrors, a lot of cars now have it on the light where it lights up if something's in that blind spot. But I don't want you to rely on that. I want you to rely on your driving skills. So that if for some reason your mirror doesn't pick it up, well, you need to pick it up. So we go over the routine. Look in the rearview mirror, look in the side mirror, turn and look out the window. Rear view, side view, look out the window. That's how you're going to eliminate that blind spot and be able to see better and drive safer. And I'm certain that the AARP driver class, I know the AAA driving class, we all are pushing that same information, but it was different when we learned to drive.
That was a big ho-hum breaker for me.
Yeah.
That was my aha moment
mirrors,
too, Otto.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, all these years I've been driving, and I'm worrying about seeing my car. But the facts are you're in danger because you don't see a lot of the car that's really
going to
the
hit you.
problem.
Right.
And
right. You're not going to see the car that's going to hit you.
More confident in driving, to be honest about it. Because between that, checking the mirror, that there's a car coming up, and checking the side view mirror, you're in a much better position to make sure you don't get into an accident.
Yep. Now, super quick, and again, that takes a little time. We also will check our participants' mobility getting in and out of the car. And again, it's a no judgment zone. We want to be able to see, can you get in and out of your car? And for some people, that's the hard part. So the slide that you're seeing right now, and I will describe, we do have a number of occupational therapy tools that we'll bring with us. You could try anything that you want. And again, we'll give you this sheet if we think that you need it. I don't want you to go spend money. And again, if you don't need it, but the one item that I have right now is called the Handy Bar. It is the best thing ever. It helps you if you have difficulty getting out of the car. You're climbing out of the car. You're pulling on the door. You're having a hard time. The Handy Bar has this metal piece that actually fits right in the bracket. As you open up your car door, there's a little U-shaped bracket. Every car has it. It's what locks your door in. This fits right in the bar, and we'll show you how to use this tool that you can push yourself out of the car way easier than trying to pull yourself out. Very hard doing a pull-up, much easier pushing yourself out. If you didn't use your seatbelt because you couldn't reach it, because maybe you have a rotator cuff issue, maybe you have bursitis, maybe arthritis, prevents you from reaching the seatbelt and buckling it. So we have an easy reach handle that we'll show you that buckles right onto the seatbelt. And now instead of having to reach, way across your shoulder, you only have to just really lift your arm up and you can pull it. And this can stay right on your seatbelt. We will show you different kinds of mirrors that you can use if for some reason you can't turn your head to the side so well because you have maybe issues, with your neck mobility. So we might recommend a panoramic mirror. We might recommend an extra mirror on the side that attaches to your existing mirror that can, again, just increase your visual field out to the sides. Again, my recommendation is if you don't need it, don't buy it. We don't sell them, but I will give you the information that says here's where you can buy them if it's something that you feel that you need. But we do have occupational therapists who will be at each of these events. I am not an occupational therapist, but I'm doing this program since 2006. And I've worked with all of the OT people, and I have a pretty good idea. If there's something that I don't know, I will absolutely get the answer if I did not have an OT at an event.
So Karen, when someone does come for a Carfit appointment, do you have all these things as a sample? Okay.
Yes, and that's why I say you can try anything out. I'll have the wedge. I have them all sitting in a big old bag that just comes with me to every event. And if somebody needs it, let's just try this. Let's see if that seat wedge works for you. And then when they say, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever," here's where you can get it. You can't have mine because I don't want to make you spend any money here. But we're going to leave your car this way for today. But when you get that seat wedge, now you know that you're going to be up a little higher. You might need to adjust some things. And again, that's why we want to make sure that everybody goes home knowing how to make the changes if they get in someone else's car, if they get in a rental car, or if something changes even within their own physical condition. All right.
Right.
I do have 4 events coming up. All right. So and I know that, this radio program has a pretty wide listenership. I do have one on Wednesday, April 26th at the Huntington Senior Center. I have Thursday, April 27th, right at Clinton Martin Park. Friday, April 28th is at the Northwell facility in Bayshore. And Saturday, April 29th is at the AAA branch in Garden City. All of the events are from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. My last appointment time is 11:45 so that I can get my technicians out when they need to get out, and that for all of those spaces that I'm out of the spaces when I'm supposed to be out. There's no rain date for any of those events. So when we take an appointment, I make sure that I have your phone number. I promise you that I will call you if the event is canceled. If it's pouring, we're out. But if I have an availability at one of the other dates, I'm going to see if I can get you into one of the other dates. And again, based on your availability. But my phone number, Rebecca mentioned it before, is 516-873-2409. You do need an appointment. It takes 20 to 30 minutes. If everybody shows up at the same time, I don't have enough technicians to handle that. And then we have cars backing up and people getting upset. I want my technicians to make sure they have enough time to give you the individualized attention that you need. Just like when you go to the doctor's office and you make an appointment at 3 p.m. and they make you sit there for an hour. It's very frustrating. I don't want anybody getting frustrated. I want everybody to come in. My appointment's at 10. I'm going to come at 10. We're going to have you out of there by 10:30.
That's great. So if you're running late, that's a problem too. So keep in mind the appointment times are structured to be able, for efficiency, to be there, to be ready for you when you come. So if you come early, that you're not necessarily going to go ahead of the person who already had the time slot that you arrived early. So keep that in mind as well.
Like people like to do at the doctor's office.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they get mad.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I will tell you that I'm doing this program for a very long time, and I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things to do at AAA. Because everybody goes home, and even if somebody came in, it doesn't happen very often, but even if somebody came in and they had everything adjusted absolutely perfectly, well, you know what? Then they go home with that satisfaction of knowing, wow, I did pretty good. And it makes them feel great. And if they made some adjustments in their car, and we see plenty of people who come in who are sitting very low and very close, you know what? I want that person to go home feeling, wow, I really learned something. This was definitely a worthwhile experience.
So Karen, could somebody, even if somebody came like 3 years ago, if they feel they need a refresher, there's never a cost?
Absolutely.
I have a question that a lot of people I know can only drive in the daytime.
Yeah.
And I saw one of the things you mentioned in the notes that we got in advance about some of the newer model cars now have night vision technology. What is that all about? And is that something that can be added to a car?
I'm going to give you big, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. My feeling is as our eyes mature, it's harder for our eyes to adjust to darkness. So we could be looking at the same picture, the same piece of the road when we're 20 years old, and it'll look very different at night or even just in the dusk because it takes longer for our eyes to adjust. And that's not something that I think any car can adjust to. If it's makes more sense because you have difficulty with glare, if you have difficulty seeing details, and again, as we age, that's a natural process of aging that we can't change. And driving during the day makes more sense, then my advice would be continue to just drive during the day and, leave the night driving to an Uber, to a Lyft, to a friend, find another, if you need to go someplace at night, take yourself out of that picture. Yeah.
If you don't know, don't do it. Just call an Uber, call a Lyft, call one of those. So Karen, we unfortunately are at the end of the hour. Thank you so much. To our listeners, please call Karen with any of these questions or to book your appointment, 516-873-2409. You can also call 311 or 516-869-6311, and you can ask to speak with Christina or myself, and we will most certainly connect you there. So we're taking a quick break. Again, thank you so much, Karen. And
can I just add one quick thing too? The Carfit website, you can see anything that I talked about. All of the events are there. It's www.car-fit.org. There's a lot of great information there as well.
Thank you, and we can also provide that information.